Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to talk to you about yoga, most specifically, why yoga. I'm constantly telling people that they need yoga in their lives, they should be doing some yoga, that would help with this and this would help with that. And it suddenly dawned on me that I haven't really ever said out loud why it is that I do yoga, why it is that I practice every day, why it is that I've built it into my life, what difference it's made to me personally. You've probably read a million people's journeys about why it's good for them, and I just wanted to share with you guys why it's good for me. So one of the first things that yoga has done for me is put me more in connection with my body, which sounds kind of a little bit out there and stuff, but it's basically that whole idea that your mind is running 20 miles an hour all day long, and you don't really think about ever how your body's coping to keep up with that. What yoga practice has done for me, and I'm talking about asana rather than the rest of the Yogic Eightfold Path, which is what I teach. I'm talking about asana, I'm talking about getting in touch with your physicality through exercise, through these poses that have been perfectly structured to be able to allow you movement within movement, which is a core part of yoga asana. So what it's done for me, one of the first things that I wanted to tell you guys about is how connected I now feel to my physical body. So the mind's still running a million miles an hour 90 times out of 10, but now I can actually feel when I'm sitting in a position that's bad for me, when I'm doing something that's bad for me. I can feel if I'm feeling like a little bit out of alignment in that day. If I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit stiff there, I know what I need to do to get rid of that. And that's allowed me so much more confidence in my body. I mean, I'm quite a short person. I'm like 5'2" if I round up to the nearest inch. So in terms of my physicality, I've always felt a little bit kind of the underdog, if you like. It's kind of like I'm the person that can't reach things from the top shelf. I'm the person that's going to fall over in Sainsbury's because she's like teetering on the edge of the little metal barrier thing that they put up because I just can't quite get to the frozen stuff at the top, and all that sort of thing. So for me, it's given me that. I'm now able to like fully stretch. I don't need to start using tools and trolleys and stuff to be able to get those things on the top shelf. Now I quite ably stretch up using the length of my body as much as I can, and then perhaps finishing it off with a little bit of intellect as well. But it's made me more confident to do that. I'm quite happy at 40 years old now to be climbing on work surfaces, to be getting stuff down, to be bringing in the 7 pallets of laminate flooring and stuff that that just got delivered to me. The delivery driver won't bring into the house. To start rolling up the carpets, getting on with things physically myself. And as a kind of not really encouraged to embrace your physicality other than the aesthetic part of it, other than looking the part, other than what hair type and what lipstick and whether you've got a muffin top or have a muffin top, and all those things that make you feel conscious about your body. And I think society's really helped indoctrinate that really you should be more concerned with physical appearance rather than your physical ability. And that's one of the things that yoga's given back to me in a kind of gentle way, not in a kind of getting down the gym and throwing everything I've to weightlifting machines or the running machine, political trainer, or you work with your own body weight. You work very naturally with your body, and you grow together with your body. Asana practice, which is one of the things I love about it as well. Another thing I love is foodie, and it's kind of given me back food. Like I feel like the whole of my late teens into my late 20s, I suppose, really, I was kind of dieting the majority of the time, always been a little bit on the larger side, the more voluptuous woman. I'm like all for the Kardashians and the fact that they seem to have brought back the bum into fashion, because when I was in the 90s it was all Kate Moss, which was never going to be me. I've never been that stick thin girl. And so it's given me back food because, like with the confidence that your yoga body, if you like, gives you, you really begin to focus on what's good for your body. So instead of kind of always reaching chocolate, I'm much more inclined to reach a high protein, something that, a bit of fruit maybe, or maybe, do you know what, maybe even just not. Maybe even with my conscious mind think to myself, you know what, I'm reaching for it because I'm absolutely exhausted. It's 9:30 at night. I've been up since 5, I really just need to go to bed. Let's not do that Twix, and let's just go to bed and get the sleep that my body's craving, which is why it's asking me for more energy, because it can't go on anymore. You know, knowledge like this has been learnt from my newfound love for my body and my inquisitive nature, finding out more about my body when I'm beginning to use it and it's beginning to come more into my consciousness. Also, you know, yoga, like yoga asana, but yoga generally as a lifestyle doesn't promote dieting. It doesn't promote diet foods. It says to you, you should have whole foods, foods that your body is able to process easily. You know, all these kind of diet stuff has a lot of basically sugars that are refined sugars that aren't natural, pre-made sucrose, stuff like that goes into your diet food to replace the sugar, but actually your body finds it really hard to break these chemical compounds down. So as much as you're not bringing in loads of sugar or loads of fat into your diet, you are actually taking in a chemical compound that your body finds it just as hard to get rid of. And actually, you know, you're putting your body under a lot more pressure from using those sorts of products. So diet food, I'm not big on. Whole foods, I'm really big on. And it's about portion control. It's about eating to the point where you're full and not finishing that plateful, which I'm sure I'm not alone in the fact that when I was younger, my mum and dad were very much, you know, finish your plateful. There were children starving in Africa. We were all very aware of that, especially like in the 80s with Live Aid and stuff like that. And there was a certain amount of guilt attached to eating. And certainly to not finishing food when other people elsewhere in the world weren't able or as lucky enough to have as much as you had. So now I just do it on portion control. I do whole foods, I do portion control, I try and eat wisely, and that's also come with this newfound connectivity with my body, and wanting to listen to it as well. Find out what it is when I ingest it and digest this food, what it is that makes my body feel good, what it is that I then have maybe a slump after, you know, like I found recently, for example, that coffee, I was beginning to develop a little bit of a dependency on coffee. Come around 2 o'clock, I get up at 5, I do my yoga practice and stuff like that, but when we were moving over here from Thailand, I found that about 2 o'clock I was having a proper slump in energy, and it was no good for me because I needed to go out at 2:30 and do the kids run, you know, like half hour, 40 minutes in the car, so driving and finding my eyes were closing at the wheel, and I got a little bit addicted to caffeine. Really only pulled myself in from that by noticing that was great, you know, it was working for the next 2 hours, but after that the slump was even greater, and it wasn't just affecting my physical energy, it was affecting my patience, it was affecting my mindset. I couldn't get clarity of mind. I was, you know, it's kind of like everything was beginning to shut down, and it didn't matter, like when we were in Thailand, it didn't matter if I went for a swim in the pool, it didn't matter if, you know, I went for like a run with my dog, it was still just dragging my energy behind me. And I'm quite an adrenal person, I'm quite an energized person, so for me that was very noticeable and a little bit scary, because I've always been quite, I say complacent really. I've always taken for granted the amount of energy that I've been able to kind of, you know, bring into the day. So for me that was kind of a good point to reflect back on, and something that my body helped me with since I had this new conscious awareness of it. Yoga asana definitely improves my focus. It improves my concentration. It does improve my patience. You know, you have to be patient with yourself in asana. You have to concentrate on points, you know, dristis. You have to be able to focus on what it is that you want to achieve and where the movement in your body's coming for you to be able to achieve that, where the strength is needed. It brings a real honed balance back into your practice, which for me has been, you know, amazing. It also gives me that time as well to be focused on one thing, which is a mother of 3, and, you know, everything that comes with that, as well as running your own business, as well as trying to develop my own business. Now we're back in the UK, as well as supporting my husband and working for him and his company as well. You know, I've got a lot of things going on, and so being able to quickly regroup and quickly refocus has been invaluable, and something that, you know, I'm really not willing to kind of give up now that I've got it as well. In terms of feeling physically fit, I feel so much younger than I ever did before. Like I said earlier on, I recently turned 40 just last week, and I feel amazing about that, in all honesty, because I don't feel like I thought I'd feel at 40. Like I was coming up to my 40th birthday and I was like, oh, you know, say goodbye to my 30s and oh, what's it going to be like in my 40s? And I suddenly realised that, do you know what? I feel the best that I've felt in almost my entire life. There's been periods of me feeling physically very able. I spent a lot of time traveling and going around doing things like glacier climbing and trekking up mountains up to sort of 5,000-6,000 feet or meters, sorry. And stuff like that has made me feel very physically able. But on a day-to-day basis, at 40 years old, running my dog, running around after my kids, picking up after everybody in the house, keeping on top of the cleaning and the washing and the food buying and everything else that comes with life, I feel more physically able than I've ever felt. And that's a really good feeling, like to some people I might be middle-aged. I'm going for the cool 100, so not yet I'm middle-aged. But that one is one of the things that has been really amazing for me. So I just basically want to encourage you guys to just give it a shot as well. Give yoga a try. There's a kind of a feeling, I think, sometimes that this kind of hippy-dippy movement, you sit and you chant and, I don't know, hold yourself in these weird positions. Actually, for me, it's more like a dance. Up and do my yoga at 5 a.m. in the morning. It feels like I'm waking up beautifully. It feels like I'm stretching, beautifully. It feels like I'm waking my body up gently, gradually, dancing myself into the day. And one of the reasons I do it at 5 a.m. is not just to impress people, but so I can fit it in, ladies, but also because I love that feeling of waking up with the world. And wherever you are in the world, I've been fortunate enough to practice yoga in Brazil, on the beaches and the waterfalls of Brazil, in the jungles and the beaches of Thailand, all over the place really. Wherever you are, you can do it, whether you've got a mat there or not. If there's a bit of carpet, or if you've got a good grippy floor or a rug or a towel or anything, you can usually practice a few asanas. In my classes, I go over ways that you can bring asana into your day. So, if you're standing at the office desk or something like that, you could be stretching out your pelvis, you can be stretching out your hips, you can be doing all that sort of thing as well. And that's being consciously aware of your body and also being able to give it what it is that it's asking for, which is definitely what yoga has given me. So I hope that's a little bit of an insight. I won't bore you any longer. Thanks for staying with me. And if you're interested in learning any more about yoga, then please contact me via the Facebook page and on my coming soon website that I'm still working on. And I hope to see you in class one day. Namaste.